Okay.
So we have Adit here with us today. Adit is from South Africa
Kenya.
and Kenya, and he did his SAT last year. Now he's going to University of Toronto, and he's going to study science there. Although right now it's all like he's going to study the subjects and the streams are yet to be finalized, as I understand. So Adit has prepared for SAT and he has maintained very good content, as you can see. I would like Adit himself to explain how he started, how he worked on SAT, and what are the best practices, what actually helped him to score good marks in SAT, how you prepared, Adit. And I saw that you were very consistent all throughout, maintaining the data, maintaining corrections log, writing down everything which was related to reading, writing, all the things related to maths. Even I can see here tabs. So if you can tell how you started and what helped you to score the marks in SAT.
Well, the first time I sat it, I know I stuck to the college board. I think, was it the Princeton review? Yeah, I think it's the Princeton review.
Uh-huh.
But I felt that one material isn't specifically enough, so I would pick around from everywhere. Like Princeton review had some last moment shortcut hacks which I wanted for maths, and
Uh-huh.
there was this start, stop, underline method I used to use for grammar.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone struggled, I come from a system where we weren't taught grammar, so I stuck to Erica Melzer through and through. Both of her books, amazing. I read them 4 or 5 times. Each and every rule I've crammed them. It was like a maths. As a maths student, I had rules, formulas for English, and that's what helped me for Erica
Okay.
Melzer. And I
Okay.
would stick to the practice tests. I think there are 8 or 10 of them, plus
Yeah.
those unreleased UASs that came.
Right. 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 So I recall Melzer and tests. And I see that you
Yeah,
have maintained this vocabulary list as well. So was this also helpful, and how long did it take for you to compile all these words? Like, was it? I can see
you
lots
had
and lots of
given
them.
me
Hmm.
You had given me some of them, but then what happened was when we did the Kaplan tests,
Uh-huh.
it's where I got specifically confused because there were new words, and every time I would do the practice tests, I noticed I missed a lot in subcontext. I think there was a
Hmm.
special section for words. I don't remember what it's called, but I missed a lot over there when I checked the cross section score. So every time I missed a word, I
Hmm.
would come back and then go through them. But I also had the Kaplan set of cards, the one
Yeah.
where they gave each and every vocabulary. There were some 300, 400 words. So I would pick a word and then I would put it here. And although it's not recommended, but once in a while you can get lucky and then a word can come. So it's good. That's how I made a list.
Yeah. Which means, like, as much as possible, you can keep on remembering, but then it's a matter of luck. End of the day, I
Yeah,
think still
because
remembering these words in groups gives you some confidence that okay, I know the meanings of
like
them.
they gave me a rough idea. Then I would use Erica Metzger's inference techniques, which she had said.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Great. The second thing which I see is related to reading. I see that you have maintained a very elaborate corrections log of reading as well. Development of museums, chronobiology, reading, college board test 4, 5, 6, 7, Callis 1, college board 2. So very, very elaborate corrections log. I think was this the key which helped you to remember the strategies and
Yeah,
scale up?
because what I realized when sitting other exams, this was different from everything else. It was like every exam had one specific trend. It was the same kind of paper for the last, I don't know, 5 6 years, I guess, but they
Uh-huh.
just changed the test. So there's this, once you start writing down every mistake you make, you tend to realize that the paper is the same and you end up making the same mistakes over and over again. So
Yeah.
every time I made a mistake, I would write it down, see what kind of mistake it was, go back to Erica Meltzer, see how she explained, look at
Yeah.
other books, see how they explain. Then I try it myself, go in the practice test, and I write down how I would have changed my answer then. So it was
Yeah.
just about trends. I would identify specific topics where I was stuck. And when I would go through every practice test over and over and over again, I would see that I'm making the same mistake because it's
Yeah.
a very small, it says syllabus or context they're testing.
Yes. 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 This is interesting, which means it's not that we commit many mistakes, but we commit the same mistakes many times. So
Yeah,
if we
that
can
one.
figure out the trend and know that, okay, this is the mistake we commit, and we write it once at one place, the probability of overcoming that shortcoming becomes very high. So I think, yeah, you
Yeah,
have done a lot of hard work, Adit. Now I remember the way you used to write it. When I see it all compiled at one place, it's actually overwhelming.
yeah.
I can
Because
see so many things you compiled at one place.
not only that, I had to come up with a general plan to play with my strengths. Like I remember we would always discuss whether I should do history or literature first, or maybe science, because science was so interesting. I would end up taking 20 minutes reading it because I wouldn't come out of it. So he told me,
Yeah.
don't also start with that. Don't start with literature because you get bored. So I stuck with, I think, social sciences then, because out of the blue I started liking history because it was the best, even though it was the most tricky. I would read two lines, get the whole answer.
Oh, that's interesting. You started liking history, is what you're saying.
Because I realized it was very complicated and everyone got irritated. So if you read the first few lines, the last few lines, and maybe skimmed in the middle at the end, you would get almost every answer.
Great, great, great,
That's
great.
how I
Yeah,
started getting more in the social science history passages more than science, which I
yeah,
liked.
yeah. And I remember you were absolutely consistent and writing things. I think this kind of hard work really played a great role in the overall success. You maintained these corrections log very nicely. Similarly, when
Yeah.
I come to this next step, which is writing and related to grammar. So, how did you prepare for grammar? Again,
Uh, I was clueless in the beginning, but then again, I went to Princeton. I did not like the way they explained because it didn't drill me down to the rules of grammar.
mm-hmm,
Because I tried using a certain, English grammar books which we do in school, and with the teach, I think Ren and Martin. But the way SAT, you're time pressed, you have schoolwork, you have other things to do plus this. So I went
yeah,
to Erica Melzer, who was explaining in terms of formulas. I think there was so many formulas. I think she said fanboys plus comma equals to full stop, and such cheat sheets and a few exercises here and there. And I think that was the turning point. If you look
okay.
here, everything she said I'd written down.
Yeah, I think for each of these tests, you have written down the rules wherever you have gone wrong. And
Yeah.
of course, this we can use for, I mean, the students can use this as a ready reckoner for
Yeah.
whatever
I've
questions.
even written over there in pink. If you can see, Erica Melzer says this, that,
Yeah,
forma, and
yeah,
that,
yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot of
you have
things.
written that. I can see that. Yes, that's right. Okay. Then this is progress tracker, and it talks about every test, how much you scored in each of the tests, as I can see.
Yeah, raw and official. It's not necessary, but I wanted to do it for myself to give myself an idea where I stand.
Yeah, yeah, and how the tracking. So I think important thing is that how you track all the marks and how you track the progress so that you know, okay, this was incorrect, this is correct now, and things become better like that. For
Yeah.
mathematics also, I can see you have maintained a very colorful. What is the meaning of these colors? Were they?
Oh no, I was grouping them into specific groups because there's certain 8 categories the college board had put. I think one was operations, other was further operations, something like that. So I would
Yeah,
categorize them because I had not learned all of the mathematics in school yet, and I kept on messing up once in a while.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah, yeah. So I think this is again like very elaborate where you have written all the small errors wherever you went wrong. And I think at that just before one day before the exam, you might have gone through it as a quick recap of what are the things to be done and what are the
Yeah,
things to be taken care of. Yeah. And then I can see this essay thing. I think there was nothing to related to essays as such, but yes,
yeah,
for all others,
because
the
for essay, I think I had crammed a format, and I went in the final, and I wrote the same essay. In fact, I even sent it to you. I had 18, I think. I had crammed a format that I repeated. So when I went to the exam, I finished it in some 20 minutes or something.
oh,
I
so
had
that
crammed
is
the format,
fantastic. Yeah.
which,
So
which we
going
had
to the
gone through
format helps. Yes. Yes.
from the official college board book.
Right. 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 How many attempts you took, Adit?
It took me my third attempt to get the score I wanted.
Yeah.
But with
And
you, I'd done two.
correct. So this was enough to take you to. University of Toronto, which you wanted to join.
Yeah, it was optional, but I still took it then to submit it along with the
But at
subject SAT.
some other colleges also?
Yeah, I had applied to Purdue. I got in. I got into McGill. I got into UBC. Then I got into Minnesota, BU, and I think USC. Oh, UCLA, not USC.
Okay, so UCLA, University of British Columbia, BU, which BU is which university?
Boston.
Okay, so Boston and all, and finally you selected University of Toronto. So why did you select University of Toronto?
I mean, definitely, cost is one issue. 70, 80,000. But
Uh-huh.
apart from that, I like U of T's co-op program. They have a really, really good co-op program.
Okay.
And
Okay.
considering it's in the center of the city, Toronto isn't a bad town.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've also been to the university, so I knew how it was.
You got some kind of scholarship also in that university?
Yeah, 50%.
Oh, that is great. Okay. So apart from SAT, you also took TOEFL test, or SAT was the only one?
Sorry?
Apart from SAT, you also took TOEFL?
Oh no, I didn't. I come from a country where the language English is first, so I don't think I was required. I took the subject test though.
Okay. Okay. So which subjects tests you took?
The maths 2 and biology environmental, the biology E.
Okay. 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 So finally, you want to study life sciences and medicine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of because first year we have open courses that we don't decide, we just choose what we want and then we narrow down by the time we graduate.
Okay. 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 So that is fantastic. How much time you used to give for SAT when you were in school? Like, was it that you were studying more on weekends, or during the week also with school you were managing it?
Um, by the time it was to my last trial, yeah, it was like all or nothing. But normally I would wake up early in the morning, normally like 4 o'clock to start studying for SAT.
Yeah, I remember you used to get up very early,
Yeah,
and it was like 7 o'clock here in India, and it was your four, and you were up.
yeah.
How did you manage that? It must have been very tiring in the school. Oh, it was fine.
It was tiring, but then there was no option considering I had my A level syllabus and this together, and then finals.
Yeah. And when did you started preparing for? When did you start preparing for SATs?
The
Like in
first time I ever did it was October, and then I had my exam in December. But the final trial, the one I got the score, I started about approximately in September when the test was in October.
so you started in 10th or 11th?
My grade, I started in 12th.
You
I
started
had
in
my first
12th.
two attempts in grade 12, and then the final one in grade 13.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. I think that is great. Congratulations to you, and this is really very inspiring. I think
Thank you.
the key to the whole thing is your data oriented approach, where you were writing every small mistake at one place, and I think this is fantastic. This is something which is worth learning, that if we just compile all the mistakes at one place, it becomes so easy to revise them. Was
Yeah.
this really helpful to you in your revisions, that you just went through it and you were able to remember what went wrong?
Yeah, because once I started identifying trends, there's this time in the exam where I was on pressure oriented. I think it
Uh-huh.
was this very irritating passage on dinosaurs. I don't think anyone could get it.
Uh-huh.
And then it was I would just skim through it because I had 3 4 minutes left. And
Yeah.
then it got to the point I'd read the question. I'll be like, this says from line 15 to 17. Therefore, the
Yeah.
answer must be exactly 4 lines before, and I got it without reading it because
Okay. Yeah.
Erica Metzger's a book. I'd read it over and over again, so I could just look at the question, know what they're asking even without thinking. It got to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. That is great. You did a lot of practice, and this is commendable. So thank you so much, Adit. Anything else that you would like to recommend to the new people who are starting their sad journey?
Yeah, I'd just like to say it's like not like any other exam we've sat before, honestly. It's all about drilling down to the mistakes you make, identify trends, patterns, and
Yeah.
of course, just use Erica Meltzer, no matter where you are in English, if you're
Yeah.
good still, because you need to identify specific trend and pattern. And she summarizes it in a way which I've never seen before. Amazing.
Yeah. You use the PDF version of Erica Meltzer? You got the book? How did you manage it?
No, I found a website where I had seen all the SAT books online. It was a
Okay.
PDF kind of, yes.
Okay. 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 Great. Great, Adit. Congratulations once again. And this was amazing. Very good performance, and all the very best to you for your future as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once, yeah.